and welcome to RELEX Talks. On the second Wednesday of every month, we're going to be sharing exciting insights about the retail industry, supply chain, pricing, promotions, and other exciting topics. Today, we have two special guests, Wayne and Jeff. Wayne is the CIO of PriceSmart, and they're going to talk to you today about PriceSmart's strategy and transformation. So let's go ahead and get started. Hi, Wayne. Hi, Jeff.
Hello, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
Great to see you today. If you wouldn't mind, could you go ahead and introduce yourselves before we get started?
Sure. Let me start. I'm Wayne Sadin. I'm the Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer of PriceSmart. For those that don't know what PriceSmart is, we are a member club that operates, well, as of today, we're opening our 54th club in 12 Latin American, Caribbean countries, including the U.S. Virgin Islands, so a total of 13 countries. We've been around since the 1990s. The legacy of the Price family, which has gone through a number of retail formats going back to the 1950s. And PriceSmart is the latest incarnation of what the Prices are doing. And we are 11,000 plus people operating, as I say, in 13 countries plus the US to provide member services through a subscription-based product to 1.8 million members. And we provide great merchandise, a mixture of local content and US contributed content to provide a really great shopping experience for our members and a great working environment for our employees.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow, Wayne. My name is Jeff Bolger. I'm a strategic principal here at RELEX, and I focus primarily on the price and promotion space.
Awesome. It's great to meet you both, and thanks for introducing yourselves. So Wayne, why don't we start off with talking a bit about your transformation at PriceSmart? I know you mentioned it before, it's not just a project, so can you tell us what that means?
Well, PriceSmart's been around for over 25 years, starting with one club in Panama in kind of the pre-technology age, if you go back to the 1990s. And it's had tremendous success. We've grown from one club to, as I say, this afternoon, 54 clubs, 11,000 people, $4.5 billion in revenue. And we've done that without a large investment in technology. It's been an incremental work in progress. And with the increasing change in the world becoming more uncertain, obviously what we went through with COVID, our markets being quite volatile. If you look at Latin American politics and economics, multi-currencies, currency devaluations, revaluations, some booming economies, demographic changes, we've got to be there to respond. We can't do what we did 20 years ago and expect the world to stand still while we plan. So I'm part of a transformation at PriceSmart. I've been there a little under a year. I report to a Chief Transformation Officer, which is a new title at PriceSmart. And the team that I'm part of, which includes IT and other parts of the company, are really trying to take the best part of the company, our people, our philosophy, our 6 rights of merchandising, the Price family philosophy, and then imbue that with process improvement, process efficiency, and quite frankly, process automation to keep delivering that service as members want more things quicker, with fewer disruptions, with better pricing, and with, of course, an ever-increasing list of demands that members place on all retailers.
That makes total sense. You've grown tremendously. It's exciting with all of the clubs you guys have been opening and to hear that journey as well. So in this transformation, are you, I believe we started partnership in September with supply chain and then added on pricing. So can you talk a little bit about why you started with supply chain and then why you added in pricing and promotions?
Well, I had to start with supply chain since you didn't have a pricing product at the time. You introduced that later in the year, much to our delight. So we realized that the problem we wanted to solve was, how do we improve the service to our members? How do we improve the logistics flow? It starts with, if you buy stuff you don't need, buy merchandise you don't need, doesn't matter how good your supply chain is, you still have stuff you don't need. You wind up with needless markdowns. You wind up with spoilage. You wind up with shrink. You wind up with all the unpleasant things that ordering the wrong mix or the wrong quantity brings you. And so we realized as we got, again, more complicated, more growth, more looking for business to business opportunities, which would involve extended SKUs and potentially fulfillment out of DCs, out of distribution centers. We needed a process that was more flexible. The process we built worked fine for the smaller, simpler company, but it was pretty rigid. It was built around the core ERP of the company. It was largely homegrown, and we needed a solution that we felt was flexible enough, scalable enough, and usable enough to empower the buyers, which is the heart of an item-driven company like ours, and also allowed the buying side and the logistics side to cooperate and coordinate so that we understood what was happening from the need for merchandise through the planning of merchandise, through the ordering of merchandise, through the receiving of merchandise, and ultimately putting it out on the sales floor for somebody to put it in their shopping cart. So we realized we have to start in the core of our company. What do we need to buy? And when do we need it? And then how do we want to procure it? And that's where the RELEX core product, the forecasting and replenishment, really comes in. That module that we bought also had a promotions module, which we were very excited about. We are not a typical discount merchandiser. We believe the items and the membership experience is really what we're selling. But like everybody, we have promotions, end of season, items that have to be moved out because they're not selling properly. We want to change an item, manufacturers' promotions. So all the trade promotion needs to be managed. We thought that was a terrific add-on. And then when RELEX approached us and said, let us show you how we can handle pricing for you. And the beauty of it is integrated in all the other data we're already generating about forecasting, replenishment, and promotions. So pricing is just kind of a natural add-on. And while we were doing the RELEX implementation, which we're in the middle of, it was just such a natural to take the pricing discussion into the 21st century and integrate it with the other parts of the RELEX solution.
That makes complete sense. And I'm sure with a name like Price Smart, pricing is very important to your company as well. Maybe we'll take a step back. And Jeff, can you talk a bit about the importance you see with pricing for organizations like Price Smart and other retailers?
I believe that Wayne had it in one. It's got to be, if you're truly going to transform your retail approach, your go-to-market approach, pricing and promotional optimization has got to be included in the mix. It affects so much of how your consumers view your price image. How do they see you? And is your image of yourself the same that your consumers have? Furthermore, it's one of the fastest ways of influencing a bottom line. We talk all the time about how just identifying and stopping poor promotions is an ROI stream all of its own. And then when you get into the optimization of the promotional activities and planning and ad planning calendars and all the wonderful things we bring along with our pricing promotional tools that really automate what we do every day, the prices that our consumers come in and know that they're going to find, really becomes a compelling discussion. But to Wayne's other point, once you have that linked into your supply chain forecasting and replenishment, then the whole discussion kicks up an entire notch. And one of the things we at RELEX are really excited about is growing with Price Smart. I mean, the 54th store today is just the beginning, right, Wayne?
We certainly hope.
Awesome. And completely agree. It's super great to have a good system, but also how about the users? If using the system, what was the reaction, Wayne, for the users when they started to explore a new solution?
Well, the first reaction of any group is, why do I need to improve? And that's true. I've been a CIO for 42 years, and I've heard the same story with every transformation. Why do we need to change? And the answer in our case is, look, if you're a local buyer in a local country and you've been there your whole life, you are probably an expert on that line. If you're selling produce, you probably know all the growers, you probably know all the demand, you probably know every holiday, when school is starting, when it's not. You look at the weather forecast, you can do a really terrific job. Can I tell you that a computer system is going to beat the 30-year experienced expert buyer in every case? No. The challenge is we have 54 stores and more coming. We have operating in 13 countries, 20 pricing zones. So how do we expect that every buyer, including relatively new buyers for new expansion, are going to be as good as the best buyer every single day? And even if you're the best buyer, every now and then you need a root canal or you need to go on vacation. And how do we keep the merchandise flowing? The members don't care that you had dental work done or you needed a PTO. The members want to know that we have the right merchandise at the right price, in the right condition, at the right time, and the right quality. And Rachel, I do want to say, Price Smart is the name of our company, has price in it, but that's quite frankly because the Price family founded the company. It's
It
very
was a
important.
little joke. I heard you earlier. I'm sorry.
But it's super important. I want to make this point, and I'm new to Price Smart, so forgive me. I have to read it off a list. I haven't taken my exam yet. We have 6 rights of merchandise. It's the right merchandise, the right place, the right time, the right quantity, the right condition, and the right price. Which one's most important? The answer is yes. All of them are important. And that's why a product like RELEX is really important to us, because we're trying to optimize. We don't want to run out of something. But if running out means we're having to pay too much or we're having to break the supply chain, maybe we want to optimize a decision around we can switch you to a private label brand that day, or we have it in another club, or we can fulfill it online. So we are trying to balance all of the needs of our member. There are companies that say, we're just about price. Even though our name is Price Smart, think of us being smart about price and smart about serving you as a member. And so you really need a tool, because when you're trying to do a multi-dimensional problem, we're not just solving for price, not just solving for cost, not just solving for stock out. We're trying to keep everything going at the same time. You wind up with a fairly complex mathematical problem. Now, the way we've solved it is we put it in people's heads. You're a buyer. You've been doing this in this category, in this region for a long time. But we've got to create a sustainable model that allows us to grow, that allows us to expand, and that doesn't tax the brain power of every one of our buyers every day, because the computer can do a lot of the drudge work.
Well, and if I can jump in here, and it makes a ton of sense to let those really smart people deal with the corner cases, deal with the tough stuff. Let the computer do the everyday kind of calculation that makes a ton of sense, but let these really smart people do really smart things with really tough problems.
That's right. That's right, Jeff. If we need to replenish bottled water or toilet paper, does that really need a buyer meeting? Probably not. But remember, we're an item business. We, like, Costco is the one people in the US know. We are not a business that stocks thousands and thousands of SKUs. We focus on every item. Every item is a gem and has to exist on its own merits. And so what we want the buyers doing is finding the best fruit if they're a fruit buyer, or the right cut of meat, or if we're doing a product that has to be sourced from Asia, how are we anticipating demand for a holiday item that has to be ordered with 6 months, 8 months, 10 months lead? Those buyers should be at trade shows. Those buyers should be finding products, working with suppliers. They should not be going, how many pallets of toilet paper do we need? Or how many cans of beans do we need? The computer should be doing most of that most of the time.
Yeah, and allow me to add, and getting better vendor deals, right? Doing more involved data-based vendor negotiations always sounds like a good idea.
Well, that's true. In every company I've seen, buyers tend to be specialized. So I buy this product or this category, and I buy this product or category. Well, you know what? The vendors don't maybe see it in individual categories. The vendor sees the total relationship.
Right.
And we're doing a number of projects tying into vendor management, a PIM, product information management database, tied to the whole forecasting and replenishment, So we can now approach vendors and say, here is our aggregate demand forecast of all of your products across all of our countries for a future looking period of time. Now, how do we get the best price? How do we get the right merchandise? How do we get to the front of the line when that's what we need? And that's very, very important. And it's a way that we can build the opportunity to give lower prices to our members. And I want to point out, we are always about the right price for the right merchandise, right quantity, right time, right condition. But price is, as we said early, a big part of it. And if we can get a better deal from a manufacturer or a better deal through our supply chain, we can pass that savings along to the members.
Rachel, can I ask a question?
Go for it.
Wayne, one of the things I was really excited about as we started on this partnership together was the broad number of folks that we got a chance to interact with as part of this process. And I was excited to see folks not just in the pricing teams, not just in the supply chain teams, but from across the board. There was marketing in the room. There was, all kinds of folks. Can you talk a little bit about how that broad-based approach figured into this partnership on your side?
Sure. Well, the way you've got to look at IT transformations, I think, this is speaking as a CIO, is the projects we do shouldn't be IT projects. They are not my projects as the CIO. And frankly, they don't improve the IT department one bit. What we're doing is business process projects with IT help. And so if you approach your projects as process transformation, not as here's some software, what can we do with it? You wind up needing a broad group of stakeholders. Again, if buying is central to your company, and in the PriceSmart philosophy, the PriceSmart operation, it has been and will be, you've got to get all the different parts of buying in the room. If buying and then delivering, getting stuff from the manufacturer into the club is important, and again, it is, those people have to be in the room. This is not about silos. I like to say businesses are run vertically. I am the logistics person. I am the buying person. And within buying, I'm the fresh buying. I'm the meat buying. I'm the this buying and that buying. Members, customers don't see it vertically. They see it horizontally. I want hamburger. I want a TV. So they see your process this way. And what you've got to do, I grew up in New York City, and the signs in the subway station said, mind the gaps, the space between the subway cars. If you weren't careful, you could fall off the train. And that's what we've got to do. That's what every retailer's got to do. We got to mind the gaps. And so we had to get all the people in a room to say, this decision may be great for buying, but if it messes up the supply chain, maybe it's not a great choice. We got to get the pricing people in the same room as the marketing people. So again, what they do ties together. And we believed, because of the size of this change in our philosophy and how we're going to run the company, that we had to get everybody in the room. Also, when you're doing a large organizational change, here's a message to people. If you're a CIO or you're a CMO or you're a COO or you're a Chief Transformation Officer, the cost of your project will be driven by the cost of changing people's attitudes, behaviors, processes, not by the cost of buying software. That's a part of the project, but it's not the biggest part. Organizational change management starts with, let's partner up together as a group and pick the right solution and understand that it's the right solution and why it's the right solution. That's why you got to meet several hundred of my closest friends at PriceSmart. And again, I'll say with RELEX, we had a great experience with you, and that's one of the reasons we bought the product, is when we said we want to have a meeting where we have people in Miami and people in San Diego, which we did. RELEX said, okay, we'll put two groups of people on two airplanes, and we'll have a joint video tie-in with people on both sides. We really thought that the partnership aspect of the buying process was pretty unique in my experience. You all put a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of energy into making sure that when we said, how many cows do we buy for this much steak, this much ground beef, and that much topping for pizza, somebody could be in the room and go, let me show you how to do that. And not every vendor we talked to was able to do that, and able to do that with such facility, going, let me show you how we did that 4 other times for 4 other people. So it was a terrific process from beginning to end. And as I said, Jeff, we're in the middle of implementation, and we're still feeling like we're getting that same level of involvement, engagement, and support from RELEX.
I thank you for saying that, Wayne. That's humbling, but it's sort of built into the RELEX DNA. That's how we approach our partnerships. I'm glad that came across and came through, but it's kind of just who we are.
Well, you're pretty unique. I'll say this. Look, I'm new to PriceSmart. I can say this. PriceSmart is a unique company, in my opinion. I've worked for about 40 companies in my career as a consultant and a CIO, and I've never seen a company like PriceSmart, which is why I'm at PriceSmart. And I really, quite frankly, we stumbled across RELEX at a trade show. We didn't go, let's go meet RELEX. We stumbled across you, said, let's go talk to you. And from the first conversation, which, by the way, you had your CEO in the booth, not common at some of these conferences, we had a substantive conversation about company philosophy, about approach to partnering, about how you looked at our industry and our business. And it just was a good match from the beginning.
Yeah, it would take a stronger person than me to keep Miko out of those customer interactions. He loves them dearly. And as you say, it provides an awful lot of value to get to meet the person who's ultimately responsible for everything that's going to happen. Because when Miko says, "Yeah, we can do that," that's sort of a promise you can take to the bank.
Well, we've enjoyed the interaction with Miko. We were at the NRF, and I was on a panel with him, and my boss, the Chief Transformation Officer, was on a sustainability discussion with him. Our company believes in sustainability, believes in giving back, in part of the PriceSmart approach to life, if you will. And RELEX has the same approach, it seems. So I will say that our Chief Transformation Officer, whose last name happens to be Price, and is the third generation of the Price family, the two of them look like old friends standing on stage together. Your CEO, my CTO, just hit it off, and they'd not met before in person, but they could talk about sustainability, talk about giving back to the community, talk about the world at large. We all have an obligation to the world at large, not just to the cheapest product as fast as we can get it, or the best return for shareholders. We live in the world, and we have to balance the needs of the employees and members and the investors. And the PriceSmart does that. I say this again as an outsider, relative newcomer, and I think your company does it as well. And we want partners that think like us, act like us, work like us. And that's what we think we found.
Oh, we feel very, very similarly. We like to have partners that don't surprise us by having radically different views than we do. I'll say that. No, it was a fantastic process. I can tell you that in our internal discussions, we were saying, wow, were there really 120 people in that demonstration? Were there really 60 people online? And the answer was, yeah, there really were. That was an investment that we appreciated you making in this process.
Yeah, Jeff, this is an investment in transforming a company culture. PriceSmart has been very successful. Our growth has been terrific. Our employee tenure is amazing. Our customer loyalty. If you go into any one of our countries and say PriceSmart, invariably somebody will hold up a card and go, I'm a customer. I'm a member. My friends of mine do this. And so it's really terrific, the loyalty you see, both in the employee and the member side. And so we have kind of an obligation to uphold that to everybody. And we're transforming the company. We don't want to break anything that's been successful. We want to improve the things, automate the things, get better data to people, get better decisions to people in both forecasting, replenishment, and of course, now pricing. And I just want to say that pricing for us is very important. It's not the only thing, but it is very important because we're not a kind of company that runs a bunch of crazy sales. We want to price to deliver value to the member. We want to price to deliver an optimal local experience. We operate in 13 countries, 20 pricing zones, 54 retail locations. 20 pricing zones. Why don't we have 54 pricing zones? Well, part of it is Excel is really hard when you have 54 of anything. So 20 is, I'm sure, although I'm not a buyer, not a pricer, a compromise between what a human mind can handle, and a spreadsheet can fill, and the ability to customize. And so having a tool like your price, I got to say, when we looked at your F&R tool, everybody went, yeah, I see that. it's a lot of work, it's a lot of change. Oh my God, I got to expand my brain. When they saw the pricing tool demo, the response was far quicker and far more, oh, wow. The memos that went back and forth in the company were really terrific. Being able to manage the psychological pricing, what goes to the right, what goes to the left of the decimal point or comma. We operate in multi-currencies. Imagine you're a buyer and you're used to dealing in one currency and now you switch to another currency. What is another country? What is the psychological number to put to the right decimal point? It's different. By building the rules into your pricing tool, now we can say we've got standardization. The same, if you will, psychological effect in that price can be carried across the board as a general thing and overridden with the right level of thinking. So we have lots of capabilities to set price. We have lots of capabilities to combine our PIM that we're implementing with comp shopping. What are our competitors doing? How can we integrate that data? When you're looking at hundreds and hundreds of products across 50 locations every week, there's a lot of Excel in there. We look at your pricing tool and some of the data capabilities as improving the way we can price competitively. We can price to margin, we can price to competitors, we can price to cost plus. There's many ways to price. And the beauty of having an automated tool that also understands your forecasting and replenishment data means that we can do things we couldn't do. A quick example that came to my mind. We're going to do a promotion. We know something is coming from Asia. It's coming through the Suez Canal, right? So it's going to be there in X number of days. Oh, wait, they've closed the Suez Canal. Everybody's going around Africa. Better not do the promotion because the boat's still on the water. How do we communicate that from the supply chain into the promotions department? With automation, if you have it. With integration, if you have it. With data, if you have it. And RELEX is the beginning of that information-based transformation of PriceSmart. So we can consume real-time information within our company walls and externally to the company, and then use that information to drive faster, better decisions without, as I say, overtaxing the capabilities of the people in the company as complexity, uncertainty, ambiguity, and scale of the company just changes.
Well, Wayne, I will say that one of the more interesting parts in being in that room, showing the team everything that was going on, was the diversity of the team. And we had folks from everywhere, from fresh meat to auto parts to canned goods to pet food, name it. And there was a representative in the room that had a unique question set for me. It was a really good day because you could tell these folks are invested.
Yeah, well, the employees in our company have been there forever. I'm the new guy, so I can say this: people in PriceSmart tend to stay for their career. Many of our folks have been there 20 and 30 years. It's not uncommon to walk around and see the people's career progression as they moved up through the company and moved from whatever country they were first hired in and maybe wind up back in Miami or San Diego at the corporate headquarters location. It's that kind of company. And so the important thing for us is we don't want to break anything by putting in automation. It's so easy to break stuff. Oh, the computer knows better. We don't want to do that. We want to take everything that makes PriceSmart great and unique and a special place for our members, a special place for our employees, and just be more of the same without, again, taxing people's capacity as we grow the company and as we expand product lines, as we expand distribution channels, and as we adjust to an increasingly ambiguous, uncertain, volatile, VUCA world. That's where technology really comes in and plays a part. It doesn't make our smartest people smarter. It doesn't make our more experienced people better. It makes the average person, it makes the new person, somebody like me, better able to manage things that people learned over 20 and 30 years of their career.
Definitely. I completely agree with you, Wayne. It's super exciting to see how you're breaking down silos and using technology to really fuel this transformation while paying attention to the entire company, all of the users and everyone that's involved. It's really exciting. So congratulations on that transformation.
Well, thank you. And it's exciting for the company. I want to point out, this is not an IT project, as I said. This is a project that has interest from our president, from the head of merchandising, the head of logistics, There's actually a dedicated executive who was moved up out of running a big part of our day-to-day operation to be responsible for the business side of this project. It's a whole company transformation effort. And again, a tip to people, that's the right way to do it.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that advice, and thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Jeff, for your time. We're going to wrap up for today. The next episode is coming out. It's the second Wednesday of every month on March 13th, so tune in then. And again, thank you for your time. This was a great first episode. So
thank you, Rachel, and thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you.